Like I said, I talked about this before in case you weren't here, but I didn't make a video out of it for the reason that I feel like I was a little bit unfair and generalizing, and this is actually something that I, I kind of wish people wouldn't do as much on the internet. I feel like there's too much generalization, and what I did was I just basically said this is all the WoW community's fault, and it's not particularly fair to say it like that, but let's tackle the issue. So this is the whole thing about the abuse. I mean, abuse through forum posts, which is people just like spouting abuse of Final Fantasy XIV developers. So first of all, and I can only translate it based on what's given, and this by the way is a translation of a show that happened last Sunday. And they say, first of all, I can only translate based on what's given, and Yoshi-P's already emphasized and mentioned the following. Just because I didn't mention your job, it doesn't mean it won't get adjusted, and we will definitely look into adjusting them based on feedback given. So please refrain from asking if Yoshi-P mentions anything about insert this job, which reads what you get. Rest assured, your job will not be neglected on giving feedback on the official forums as long as you all do it politely. So when I read this, it's like, this was the first indication, like, oh God, here we go. People are just like being toxic in the forums. Now, look, I don't really go through forums that much anymore nowadays because my time is extremely limited. And so I don't spend that much time in forums to begin with. But anyways, so the translation of what Yoshi-P said is, really, it's just one thing here. Of course, I'm thankful and grateful for... By the way, this is not going to be like super correct English because I think that this was kind of like a rush translation because the show was live. So if there's stuff that doesn't sound exactly right, don't pay too much attention to it. This is translated from Japanese to English. And if anything, I'm super thankful for the people in this particular Discord server, which is the official, I think it's the Reddit Final Fantasy XIV Discord server, and the people doing translation here are doing the Lord's work, so extremely thankful for that. Thank you guys. You guys are awesome. So if there's some English stuff that I read doesn't seem super correct, just be thankful that we get anything at all, okay? That's what I'm saying. Anyway, continuing onwards. This is Yoshi-P's words. Really, it's just one thing here. Of course, I'm thankful and grateful for players to tell us what we should do this or this should be that and whatnot. But verbal abuses are something we wish it can stop. While I would like to think myself as having a strong mental level in Japan, not everyone shares the same mental strength as I do. So, and this is basically I'm saying like, look, I've been around the block with MMOs. I know what to expect in MMOs. I know there's several degrees of toxicity, but our developers, you know, they maybe don't have the same mental fortitude. Maybe they haven't been around the block as much as Yoshi-P has, and they're probably excited about the product that they're developing because here's an interesting thing, and this is something that I would say not just about Final Fantasy XIV developers, but other development teams, because like I've stated in the past, you can usually tell when a development team is extremely passionate about the game because you see that passion in either the gameplay loop, in the animation details, in just like all of the little things that the game has. You can tell that the passion is there. Like, I'm going to give you an example, and I know that it's going to piss off a couple of communities, and I'm sorry, but like, here's an example, right? FIFA. I don't think that FIFA is a product that has a whole lot of passion in it because I've seen several iterations of FIFA, and I don't think that the developers that are working on FIFA are doing it because they're passionate about football. Okay? This is just my opinion. I know that a lot of people are going to be disagree with that and they're going to be upset about that, but it is what it is. You look at the game and you look at the level of polish that they put in that game and you look at the level of, you know, egregious monetization that they do in those games, and you can tell is like, okay, you're not passionate about this. Okay, you're just not. I mean, there may be like one or two people in the development team that are passionate about it, but the majority of you are just not passionate about this. Let's just be real. You're here to make a buck. It is what it is. And all games should make money. Let's be perfectly clear here. But it's just, you know, there's levels. There's levels there, right? Whereas if you look at something, for instance, like for me, the three, like I've said, the three pillars of gaming for me right now are Creative Business Unit 3, From Software, and the Monster Hunter team. And I always want to emphasize the actual development teams and not the publishers, because publishers, they sometimes they do some things right, and then sometimes they give us a Happy New Year letter that talks about NFTs, right? Am I right? Sometimes they do good things, and then sometimes they just talk about how they want to destroy the world of gaming. But anyways, let's continue. I think it is important for us as players to not be toxic towards development teams that are passionate about what they're developing. And let me tell you something. As someone who has played the entirety of Final Fantasy XIV at this point, I can tell you the Final Fantasy XIV is passionate about this game, okay? If you've watched the Fen Fest, you'll know that the development team is passionate about this game. You're talking about the composer, Soken, like being bedridden with cancer and still wanting to work on the game, working out a way to still work on the game despite the fact that he was fighting through cancer. And why did he do that? He did that because, in his own words, the players expect this, so we have to do it for the players. And nobody in his team fucking knew, with the exception of Yoshi-P. Yoshi-P was lying to his whole team about the conditions that Soken was working on. And Soken was like battling cancer in the hospital. Like, listen, this is a very passionate team. Okay? And stuff like toxicity in forums is something that can break this team. Now, as I mentioned earlier, my first reaction to this, I was also a little bit maybe too generalizing. And I was just like, oh, hi, WoW community, welcome in. It's like, look, yes, there's a lot of toxicity in the WoW community. That doesn't mean that everything that happens is about the WoW community. There's a lot of people that have come over from World of Warcraft, and they're just like playing the game and having a good time and providing cool feedback. Like you got, I'm just going to mention a couple of content creators, for instance, like Zeppla came from World of Warcraft. I came from World of Warcraft. Asmongold came from World of Warcraft. Preach came from World of Warcraft. Pint came from World of Warcraft. There's plenty of people that came from World of Warcraft that are enjoying themselves. Popo Jigaimo, I was in his podcast a while ago, right? So it's kind of unfair to just say like, oh, hi, WoW community, welcome in. I know that a portion of it is that, but I believe that there might also be a significant amount of the 14 community that is also doing that. As someone that, has been the target of Reddit basically going over and, good God, dislike bombing my video. I was marked for life. It's like, it's whatever. It happens. But it's like, it wasn't an experience where I'd be like, YouTube, please disable the dislike button. I can't take it anymore. I would never do that. I'd rather them keep the dislike button so that people can express and vent and whatever they want on my videos. That's fine. But anyways, I'm already getting off on a separate tangent. What I'm saying is there's potential for everyone to, get a little bit riled up because either it be because I can't log into the servers, game sucks, or my job is not dealing enough damage, game sucks. And it's like, okay, sure, your job's not doing enough damage. Go to the forums and say, hey, I feel like my potencies are too low. I feel like this combo is not working appropriately. Can we please do something about this? Like, try to do it like that, as opposed to, what kind of fucking incompetent idiots do you have working on this fucking game? Are you all brain dead over there? I mean, I don't know what level of abuse they've received, but basically, let's try to be a little bit more constructive, because let me tell you, as someone that plays multiple games, because it's my job, essentially, I play multiple games, I review games, I talk about games, all of this stuff. Let me just assure you that what we have in Final Fantasy XIV is nothing short of a dying development team. And what do I mean by that? I mean, this is a very rare breed of development teams. Like I said, there's 3 development teams that I really respect right now. 3. Creative Business Unit 3, From Software, Monster Hunter team. These are the 3 teams that have my utmost respect in gaming right now. Okay? 3 teams. That's not much if you consider the amount of video games we have out there. Please please do not cause this development team to burn out. Let them please be passionate about their project. You know? So, ever since the unfortunate release delay of the expansion, we did ask players to be mindful of spoilers, but for some reason there seems to be some antis, haters of the game, laying around attacking other players despite not playing the game, and it was quite glaring. I felt as if those strong words used in arguments against people ended up holding people back because of this. This is a frequently used example or metaphor here. It's like seeing the condition of a car in New York downtown gets worse when it's already in bad enough condition. In other words, it's somehow an acceptable mindset to let it happen. Which is why, well, I mean, there are new players who join this game, and there are many players who come from other games, and of course, also means there are players who experience Endwalker as their first expansion. I really wish people wouldn't do that. Like, seriously, do not skip the Endwalker. I cannot emphasize this enough. Do not skip the Endwalker. Do not skip the Endwalker. Do not skip the Shadowbringers. Do not skip the Stormblood. Do not skip the Heavensward. Just don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, look, you can do whatever you want. This is just me strongly advising you. You're missing out on so much. You're missing out on so much. Like, don't rush your experience. Take your time. Take your time. Don't rush it. You'll get to Endwalker when you get to Endwalker, and you'll enjoy it all the more because of it. Just take your time. Anyway, it's a given there will be mistakes and errors here and there after 11 years of journey with players up to this point. It does make me feel that the language used ended up being a little overboard there. I mean, I can take it, even though it doesn't make it less bad, but staff members will really feel down after getting those words when they gave their absolute best into trying to create something which everyone can enjoy. This may end up making them no longer create things that are fun from there on. So I have only one request to every players out there. Please imagine that you're speaking face-to-face with a developer whom you may not know his name nor face, and imagine how they'd feel before sending your feedback over, and I'll be happy if people can do so politely. Halfway omitted. Not sure why it's halfway omitted, but yeah, basically, this is what I was saying. Let's try to not destroy the morale of this team. Let's try to not destroy the morale of this team, because morale is incredibly important. Like, let me tell you right now, as a content creator, whenever I feel like shit, it is 50 times harder to make a video or to boot up a live stream. Like, if something happens in my life, or if sometimes even just like reading a nasty comment, it has that level of impact. Like, a lot of people underestimate, like a lot of people go into a video and they'll just like take a dump all over the person who made that video. And it's like they really underestimate the impact that thing has. Like, that lives in a lot of creators' heads rent-free for a long time. I realize that by saying this, I'm empowering a lot of people even more, because like, oh man, I can really fuck up somebody's day, right? They're going to feel empowered by that. But I'm also hoping that amidst all of those who feel empowered by it and are just going to make it worse, that there are some people that will actually consider, you know, before leaving their next nasty comment. And it's like, at the end of the day, I don't care what you do to me, because like, my skin's so thick at this point that yeah, stuff will live rent-free in my head, and sometimes I might be like, okay, those comments really put me down today. I don't feel like live streaming, or I don't feel like making a video, but I'm going to bounce back. I'm always going to bounce back, because, you know, I've been experiencing this for over a decade at this point, right? I've got, I don't know what the expression is in English, but like in Portuguese, is I have like calluses from all this already. So it's like the pain doesn't even hurt that much anymore. But these developers, right, they've had a passionate fan base all this time, and now they've experienced one of the biggest growth spurts. And usually this is something that you get whenever you see communities grow at a certain rate, right? I've experienced something similar to this with when Dark Souls went from Dark Souls 1 to Dark Souls 2, because a lot of people joined the community and they would just like shit all over content that people were creating. Like my blind playthrough of Dark Souls was like something that I always bring up, because it was a huge shift in the community. And I could tell, because people were no longer just excited to see the videos. There were a lot of people that just wanted to jump in there and take a shit on the way that I played the game, because I was playing the game blind. It's like, why don't you just read a guide? Why I want to walk through. It's like, it literally says blind play. I want to walk through. So it's like, be considerate when you're on the internet. Anyway, continuing onwards. That's why it will result in staff members getting gradually hurt, and it's especially evident when the staff member worked so hard on it, and this doesn't help anyone, neither the staff members nor the players either. Yeah, because essentially, if you keep bitching like that, the game is just going to get worse. This will completely drain away their motivation, and worse, they'll end up quitting because of it, which is why I hope that everyone can understand that. Considering things have been getting really extreme lately, and with staff members putting their all to make it work, I mean, of course, I don't mean everything should be given praise. Mistakes are mistakes, and they should be notified, but I'll appreciate if everyone can give careful thought in their thoughts and feedback before sending them over. So yeah, at the end of the day, let's just try to be nicer human beings, and I'll tell you what, I myself need to hold myself accountable to some of these things as well, because I've been going ham on World of Warcraft over the last couple of months, and maybe they deserve it. It is what it is, but maybe we should all just be less nasty to each other. One step at a time. One step at a time.